being a police officer is not an easy thing. You have a target on your back 24/7, and it's not fair for them, because in the end of the day, they can never do anything right. Sadly, we had Dallas occur earlier this year, which 5 officers were killed, which was the deadliest attack on law enforcement since 9/11. There's been some issues over the last couple of years with the police, with police brutality, with people attacking the police. Some statistics show that. So far, in 2016, there has been 875 fatalities by the police. This is according to WashingtonPost.com. That is, though, 22 behind this time as of last year, which I guess is a good thing. There was 991 fatalities by the police in 2015, compared to 2014 when there was 1,039 people killed by the police. That was by thinkprogressive.org. And according to USA Today, in 2013 there was 461 people killed, and they were suspected of felons, which is the highest number in the last 20 years. Since 1991 to 2013, people killed that were suspected felons had never been that high. The highest was a little over 400, and that was back in like 93. And then 2003 was the highest with 461. The worst when it comes to firearm related deaths by the police, or of police officers. The worst came in 1973, where 156 officers were shot and killed. And that's by factcheck.org. Over the last 10 years, since 2006, the numbers have kind of been all over the place. 2006 had 54 people killed. 2007 had 70. 2008 had 41. 2009 had 50. 2010 was 60. 2011 was 73, which was the highest we've had in the last couple of years. 2012 was 50. 2013 dipped down to only 33. 2014 was 49. 2015 was 42. And as of right now, 2016, not as good, sadly. Just between January 1st and July 9th, 26 officers were shot and killed, compared to 18 during that time in 2015. So that was a 44% increase. And actually, we had 5 officers sadly killed. So it's gotten more difficult for these officers to do their job, especially now with all the new camera systems. It allows people to know what they're doing, which is not a bad thing. It also helps fight against any brutality we see. We were able to talk with a officer and get some insight with how things are run here in New Rochelle.
I've been a cop for 26 years. We train on mental illness. We have 3 separate projects. We have old people homes, mental facilities, colleges, and multi-million-dollar homes.
We asked him a few questions about how Iona's affected his job.
Iona College is just another group that we have to watch over. They're not out of control. Iona College is the easiest group.
Any new protocols they had learned.
By training, we mean reinforcement. Perception training goes on for quite a while. Perception is reality. Something extremely important is you have to treat people fair. Loyalty and respect is very important. The most important thing is the mouth and the mind.
Have they run into more or less problems over the last couple of years with society?
People are stupid or silly, it's just people being a pain. Drug arrest in New Rochelle in 2014, 415 people. 2015, 421 people. 2016 hasn't been finished yet. Driving while intoxicated, 2014, 112 arrests. 2015, 138 arrests. Murder and homicide, 2012, 1 person. 2013, 2 people. 2014, 1 person. 2015, 1 person. Total arrest, 2014, 1,866. 2015, 2,030. 2016 has not been released yet.
We were also able to talk with Dr. Catherine Lavery, the Department Chair of Criminal Justice at Iona College, to get some insight on how police across the country are affected through what's been happening the last few years.
I think in terms of the responsibility of police officers, we're seeing more oversight that's being done. There's been a new push for the body cameras. We're trying different types of patrolling. To be honest, this takes a long time to test. Someone told me many years ago, in order to see about proper programming in criminal justice, you need at least 20 to 25 years.
I was able to ask her how has the police's job changed since the shooting of Michael Brown. She also gave some insight on the relation between the police and the public, and if they're moving in a positive or negative direction.
In terms of positive, everybody's trying to be positive. I think there are just some major issues which may not be directed to police. I think it has to do with politics, it has to do with budget, it has to do with kind of these peripheral issues that really do have much more of an impact than we think they do.
I also asked her if she thinks the cops are doing a sufficient job through all the things that were happening over the last few years.
Are they worse prepared? I don't necessarily think so. I think that a lot of it has been thrown at them where they're learning to adapt. We're still in a transition of adaptation, hopefully with better training, with possible better funding, better hiring practices. I think that would be a big change for them. But I think you have to look at this across the board as our society is in a very critical time now. I do think there has to be more training. When we look at smaller police agencies, one in Kentucky or one in Nebraska, the money is not necessarily there. But I do think there has to be training that has to get amended due to what is happening in the community at that time. The other issue has to do with education. We've had studies that have been done that said that students that have a bachelor's degree or higher are less likely to get into confrontations, do more conflict resolution when dealing with, interactions, are less likely to pull their gun.
We were able to get great insight from Dr. Lavery, and she was not surprised that these amount of shootings occurred and were caught on tape, because every so often this will happen. And it's time then for the police to catch up to that, and then society to catch up to the police.
Everything kind of goes up and down, and we're right now poised for this to happen. So we're seeing different types of crimes in different areas we didn't see 10 or 15 years ago. So there has to be some time for an adaptation and for a changeover for it. So just like we did in the 1950s and 60s and the early 70s, we're going through this transition period, and I think we need to go through it in order to get to the other side of it.
The police's job is not easy. No one ever said it should be, or that it is. And it's not fair for them, because in the end of the day, they can never do anything right. I, for one, have a lot of respect for them